Okay, I'm going to ask Bing how to get started on making the perfume. So I understand the collection is, or I understand the process is to grab the leaves off the ground, rake them into a bag or something, some kind of collection location. But I think to make it more efficient for myself later on, because I'm looking at it from an operational perspective. So I'm wondering how to do it at the scale that somehow my brain seems familiar with. And that's bigger than where this is trying to point me and making it for like one can here and there. So I'm seeing it as making it for the for the people around me as well, and having it up for either sale or auction, whatever giveaway. Because I would like to know if other people enjoy the same smell, because if they do, maybe it's something that could be marketable. So it could be local to just me, it could be local to the area. But I do know I enjoy the smell of cottonwood trees, and I think that fall is a great time because that smell that they produce is really strong, especially after a rain. So it rained the evening of, excuse me, it rained the early morning of yesterday, and towards the afternoon of that day, I went for a walk, and I could smell the leaves and the fresh air, and I really enjoy that smell. So I know there's going to be something in those leaves that I can find a way to capture, and what I understand them to be called is aromatics. So let's learn about the different types of aromatics. Maybe there are synthetics out there that I could blend, but I think I would like to get the naturals first and then like collect it in a natural way. This chat bot is going to try to keep me using alcohol. It keeps mentioning vodka. I wanted to use something else. I know that alcohol is probably going to have to be considered, but I'm going to keep asking it, is there other options? So let's find out what it has to say. Okay, so the only way my brain keeps thinking about the operational practices of making this perfume is from a much bigger scale. So I'm thinking about it as I have 4 or 5 people collecting large bundles of leaves. We're feeding them into a hopper. That hopper is running through like a shredder of some kind, and it's just grinding these leaves up and shooting them out into a large pile. But that pile is going into a soaker or a wash, maybe, not just a pile. It's actually going into a trough that's leading to a soaker. So let's set up an industrial line. How would you do this from that kind of scale? Let's say you were using standard skid steer equipment or smaller, and a crew of 4 or 5 men.
Setting up an industrial line for perfume production from cottonwood leaves on a larger scale sounds like an exciting project. Here's a step-by-step outline for how you might set this up using standard skid steer equipment and a small crew. Industrial process outline. Collection and transport. Crew 4 to 5 people. Equipment, skid steer with a bucket attachment. Process. Collect large bundles of cottonwood leaves using rakes and manual labor. Load the leaves into the skid steer bucket. Transport the leaves to the processing area. Shredding. Equipment, industrial shredder or chipper. Process. Feed the leaves into the hopper of the shredder. The shredder grinds the leaves into smaller pieces, increasing the surface area for infusion. Collect the shredded leaves in a large container or directly into a conveyor system. Soaking/infusion. Equipment: large soaking tanks or vats, conveyor system. Process: transfer the shredded leaves into soaking tanks using a conveyor belt. Fill the tanks with your chosen carrier oil, e.g., jojoba oil or alcohol. Allow the leaves to soak for an extended period, 1 to 3 months, to infuse the oil with the scent of the leaves. Ensure the tanks are kept in a warm, sunny location or use heating elements to maintain a consistent temperature. Straining and filtering. Equipment: industrial strainer or filter press, cheesecloth. Process: after the infusion period, use an industrial strainer or filter press to separate the infused oil from the plant material. For finer filtration, use cheesecloth to remove any remaining small particles. Mixing and bottling. Equipment: mixing tanks, bottling machine. Process: transfer the infused oil to mixing tanks. Add any additional essential oils or synthetic substitutes for ambergris, e.g., ambroxan, to enhance the fragrance. Mix thoroughly to ensure a consistent blend. Use a bottling machine to fill glass bottles with the final perfume product. Estimated costs and considerations. Skid steer rental, $200 to $300 per day. Industrial shredder, $1,000 to $5,000 purchase or $100 to $200 per day rental. Soaking tanks, $500 to $2,000 each, depending on size and material. Conveyor system, $2,000 to $10,000, depending on complexity. Filter press, $1,000 to $5,000. Bottling machine, $1,000 to $10,000, depending on capacity and automation level. Labor and time. Crew, 4 to 5 people. Time. Initial setup might take a few weeks, with ongoing operations requiring daily attention for collection, shredding, and maintenance. This setup should allow you to efficiently process large quantities of cottonwood leaves and produce a unique, high-quality perfume. If you have any more questions or need further details, feel free to ask.
It's interesting that you were telling me to use a skid steer to collect the leaves. I think that would be extremely expensive and destructive. I understand you've never worked with a skid steer before, but they call them skid steers because that's how they maneuver. They steer by skidding, and skidding tears up the ground. And in order to protect the trees, I want to make sure that I don't tear up the ground. So I would see myself using like some kind of cart that's very gentle with large or very wide wheels that would float on the surface, cover more surface area. And when they turn, there wouldn't be a lot of aggressive bite in the ground, such as with a skid steer. So over the years that I would be collecting the leaves and making my perfumes, I wouldn't be destroying the ground and replacing all the dirt and the vines, and the trees' root system wouldn't have to recover from so much damage. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't want to do a lot of harm to my environment, so a skid steer seems a little aggressive. I was using as a reference for size.
That makes perfect sense. Preserving the environment while collecting leaves is a great approach. Here's an alternative setup that minimizes ground disturbance. Collection and transport. Gentle collection carts. Equipment. Use carts with large, wide wheels to distribute weight and minimize ground impact. Process. Collect leaves manually using rakes and load them into the gentle collection carts. Transport the leaves to the processing area using these carts. Shredding. Shredding. Equipment: portable leaf shredder or chipper. Process.
I just
Feed the
caught
leaves
this thing
into
in
the
the
shredder
Matrix.
manually. Collect the shredded leaves in a container or directly into a conveyor system. Soaking/infusion. Soaking/infusion. Equipment: large soaking tanks or vats, conveyor system. Process. Transfer the shredded leaves into soaking tanks using a conveyor belt. Fill the tanks with your chosen carrier oil or alcohol. Allow the leaves to soak for an extended period, 1 to 3 months, to infuse the oil with the scent of the leaves. Ensure the tanks are kept in a warm, sunny location or use heating elements to maintain a consistent temperature. Straining and filtering. Straining and filtering. Equipment: industrial strainer or filter press cheesecloth. Process: after the infusion period, use an industrial strainer or filter press to separate the infused oil from the plant material. For finer filtration, use cheesecloth to remove any remaining small particles. Mixing and bottling. Mixing and bottling. Equipment: mixing tanks, bottling machine. Process: transfer the infused oil to mixing tanks. Add any additional essential oils or synthetic substitutes for ambergris, e.g., ambroxan, to enhance the fragrance. Mix thoroughly to ensure a consistent blend. Use a bottling machine to fill glass bottles with the final perfume product. Estimated costs and considerations. Gentle collection carts, $100 to $300 each. Portable leaf shredder, $200 to $500. Soaking tanks, $500 to $2,000 each, depending on size and material. Conveyor system, $2,000 to $10,000, depending on complexity. Filter press, $1,000 to $5,000. Bottling machine, $1,000 to $10,000, depending on capacity and automation level. Labor and time. Crew 4 to 5 people. Time. Initial setup might take a few weeks, with ongoing operations requiring daily attention for collection, shredding, and maintenance. This setup should allow you to efficiently process large quantities of cottonwood leaves while minimizing environmental impact. If you have any more questions or need further details, feel free to ask.
Thank you. Hey, now you caught me. Thank you. Okay, so I suppose one of the things that I have to also consider is how much electricity or diesel or gasoline does this stuff spew into the atmosphere, and what kind of recovery in carbon emissions can these cottonwood trees take on over a year? In other words, does my perfume making in carbon pollution outweigh the carbon cleanup of the trees that I'll be using? Is there a way for me to understand how much material I'll need to make an amount of oil or concentrated or aromatics for the perfume? Because I'm still working on understanding how this all comes together. And I'm living in the United States. I don't know if there's any perfume makers here. Where in the United States are perfume makers located?
Let's break this down into a few key points to help you understand the environmental impact and logistics of your perfume making process. Environmental impact. Carbon emissions from equipment. Electricity. If you use electric-powered equipment, the carbon footprint depends on your local energy mix. For example, in Minnesota, about 25% of electricity comes from renewable sources. Diesel/gasoline. Using diesel or gasoline-powered equipment will emit CO2. For instance, a small diesel engine might emit around 2.68 kilograms of CO2 per liter of diesel burned. Carbon sequestration by cottonwood trees. Cottonwood trees are effective at sequestering carbon. On average, a mature cottonwood tree can absorb about 48 pounds, 21.77 kilograms, of CO2 per year. If you have a grove of 100 trees, they could sequester approximately 2,177 kilograms of CO2 annually. Balancing emissions and sequestration. To determine if your perfume making process is carbon neutral or better, you can compare the emissions from your equipment to the carbon sequestration by your trees. For example, if your equipment emits 1,000 kilograms of CO2 annually and your trees sequester 2,177 kilograms, your process would be carbon negative, meaning it absorbs more CO2 than it emits. Perfume production scale. Amount of leaves needed. The quantity of leaves required depends on the concentration of the perfume. Typically, a small batch might need several pounds of leaves to produce a few ounces of essential oil. Perfume makers in the U.S. There are several high-end perfume makers in the U.S. Some notable ones include Le Labo, known for their handcrafted perfumes. Tom Ford offers luxury fragrances. Jo Malone, famous for their bespoke scents. Practical steps. Estimate your needs. Calculate the amount of leaves and oil needed for your desired production scale. Assess the energy consumption of your equipment and compare it to the carbon sequestration of your trees. Sourcing ethical ingredients. Use synthetic alternatives like ambroxan for ambergris. Ensure your carrier oils and other ingredients are sustainably sourced. By carefully managing your resources and emissions, you can create a sustainable and environmentally friendly perfume making process. If you have more questions or need further details, feel free to ask. Minnesota's energy mix. CO2 emissions from diesel engines. Carbon sequestration by cottonwood trees.
Thank you for answering that. You did cover something that I did have a question. Let me read over what you said. The amount of leaves needed.
You're welcome. Take your time to read through it, and if you have any more questions or need further clarification on anything, just let me know.
Okay, so what are the aromatics that I am seeking to find that we suspect be the ones that are leaving the cottonwood trees as they decay?
When cottonwood leaves decay, they release a variety of aromatic compounds that contribute to their distinctive scent. Some of the key aromatics you might find include terpenes. These are a large and diverse class of organic compounds produced by many plants. Common terpenes in decaying leaves include pinene has a pine-like aroma. Limonene offers a citrusy scent. Myrcene provides an earthy, musky smell. Phenolic compounds. These compounds are known for their strong, sometimes sweet or smoky aromas. Examples include guaiacol has a smoky, woody scent. Vanillin provides a sweet, vanilla-like aroma. Alcohols and aldehydes. These compounds can contribute to the overall fragrance profile of decaying leaves. Hexanol has a grassy, green aroma. Benzaldehyde offers an almond-like scent. These compounds are released as the leaves break down, creating the complex and rich aroma associated with decaying plant material. When making your perfume, you can capture these scents through the infusion process and enhance them with additional essential oils to create a balanced and appealing fragrance. If you have any more questions or need further details, feel free to ask.
I do. The reason why I asked about perfume makers in the US is that I'm wondering if I need to ask experts or if I can talk to people who will help me.
Reaching out to experts in the perfume industry can definitely help you refine your process and ensure you're using the best practices. Here are a few notable perfume makers and manufacturers in the United States that you might consider contacting. Alpha Aromatics. Based in Pennsylvania, they are known for designing and manufacturing custom fragrances. DS and Durga. Located in Brooklyn, New York, they offer unique handcrafted perfumes. Annie Oakley Perfumery. Based in Ligonier, Indiana, they focus on natural and organic fragrances. Forager Botanicals. Located in New York, they specialize in eco-friendly and sustainable perfumes. Sila Organics. Based in Pennsylvania, they create organic and vegan perfumes. These companies might be able to provide insights or even collaborate with you on your project. Additionally, you can look into joining fragrance industry associations or attending perfume making workshops to connect with other professionals and enthusiasts. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Can you list any Facebook groups that have expert advice for perfume making?
Sure. Here are some Facebook groups where you can find expert advice and connect with other perfume making enthusiasts. Perfume Making Public Group. A community for sharing tips, recipes, and experiences related to perfume making. The official group for perfume making. a private group with over 13,000 members, focused on all aspects of perfume creation. These groups can be great resources for learning from experienced perfumers and getting feedback on your projects. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
You've been so helpful and have saved me months of time.
I'm really glad to hear that. It's been a pleasure helping you with your project. If you ever need more assistance or have new questions in the future, don't hesitate to reach out. Good luck with your perfume making journey.
Well, I hope that you'll be alongside because I'm going to be hitting you up every now and then, and I'm going to be checking you.
I'm here whenever you need me. Feel free to reach out anytime with your questions or updates on your perfume making journey. I'm excited to see how your project evolves. Good luck and talk to you soon.
Word.
Got it. I'm looking forward to our future chats. Have a great day, and I'll be here whenever you need me.